People ask me all the time about the koi pond. How deep is it? How often do you have to clean it? How often do you feed the fish? But I've never really told the story of how we got the koi pond in the first place. So today I'd like to tell that story and how it's the result of a random act of kindness between two incredibly generous people, neither of which was me. My husband was an auto mechanic at a Nissan dealership for many years. And one day an elderly gentleman came in without an appointment because he was on his way home. He had an hour yet to go and his car was sounding funny. So there wasn't time to order parts. My husband just made a temporary fix. And he instructed this elderly gentleman that if this happened again on the way home, you open the hood, this is what you do, and this is the tool that I use to fix it. So I'm going to give you this tool so that I know for sure you can make it home. So the guy was quite surprised that my husband was giving him a tool, because if you know anything about auto mechanics, it's a problem that people always want to borrow their tools. And many of them even have a sign on the toolbox that says, "I make my living with my tools. Please don't ask to borrow them." He said, "Just next time you're in Santa Rosa, bring it back to me. I trust you, but at least this way I know that you're going to get home." So sure enough, the guy, next time he was in Santa Rosa, returned my husband's tool to the dealership. And out of that simple kindness, they struck up a friendship. It turned out that the man I'm referring to as an elderly gentleman was Masaharu Imazumi. He was an internationally known bonsai expert, and he traveled all over the United States and Europe teaching workshops. But he was also a landscape designer, and his specialty was Japanese ponds. One night we had Moss over for dinner, and out of the blue, he said to me, "I'm going to build you a pond." And I was stunned. It didn't register. Like, what do you mean? And he said he had built a pond for each of his sons, but they had sold their homes. Each of them had sold their homes in order to move up and buy bigger homes. And he said to me, "I know Fred, my husband, I know Fred will never sell this house." And he was right. We've been in this house 40 years. It's still our dream home. And now, of course, we would never think of moving because we're so in love with the pond. Here's a picture of how my husband dug this entire pond out with a shovel. The sides had to be perpendicular. The hole had to be more than 3 feet deep because the finished depth was going to be 24 inches. Next, I want to show you how we did the boulders. And that was an education in itself. So before we came, Moss said we need to bring a piece of chalk. And we actually went around this entire property. He marked with a number 1 through 15 on each stone and instructed the man to load them on the truck in that exact order, because that is the way he wanted to take them off the truck and position them in the pond, because he didn't want to have to move them twice. I was astounded. Over the course of building it, we really developed a wonderful friendship, and we stayed friends until he passed away many years later. He told us all about how, as a Japanese American, he was serving in the military while his wife was in the internment camps. Things that I had really never thought about. Sometimes you discover unexpected richness in a friendship where you are several generations apart. I just didn't expect that. So if you knew Masaharu Imazumi, or you are related to him, his family is in Berkeley, California, I would like you to know that I treasure this pond and I take very good care of it to honor Moss's memory. So now you know how a random act of kindness turned into a $30,000 koi pond. And I would especially like to thank my husband, Fred, for his acts of kindness every day. Thanks for being here and watching my video. I am going to do a deep dive on how they actually constructed the pond. And so I hope you'll join me for that video too. And I hope you'll like and subscribe. Thanks a million.